Good afternoon, Northeastern. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the Women in Leadership panel as part of the 2026 International Business Conference at Northeastern Illinois University. My name is Jane Shi, the Associate Dean in the College of Business and Technology. It is my pleasure to moderate today's session. This year's conference theme is The Modern Entrepreneur, Creating Shared Value Worldwide. Entrepreneurship today is not just about launching a company. It is also about leadership, about innovation, about adaptability, and about understanding how business makes the impact for our employees, for our communities, and for the global business. So today's passion is especially meaningful because women are not just participating in business. We are leading in business. We are shaping industries. We are building companies. And we redefine what leadership looks like for our next generation. So our goal for you, our students, our faculty, our guests, is to leave with professional advice and a clear picture of what business looks like. And we would like also to understand the challenges, the pivots, and opportunities along the way. We will begin with a moderated conversation and reserve the final 10 to 15 minutes for your questions. You may start thinking about what questions you may have. And as a quick ground rule, I'll ask you to keep your questions to 1 to 2 sentences so we can hear as many questions as possible. To start, I'd like to invite each of the panelists to take 1 to 2 minutes to introduce themselves about their name, their role, their organization, and one turning point along your professional journey. So let's welcome our panelists.
I don't know, can you hear me? Good, because I can probably speak without this. But anyway, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carmen Jimenez. I am the co-founder and current president of the Hispanic Business Network in Chicago. I'm also in public accounting, and I have been in public accounting for 18 years. And a turning point, last year in May, I decided after 18 years in public accounting to fire my bosses. Yes, I quit my job.
Yeah, bravo.
And in July, I decided that I would start my own accounting and tax practice. So was I prepared to do that? Well, I had the knowledge, but there's so many other things that we're going to share later in our conversations about why it was a good time to do. So I'm excited to share today.
Thank you. My name is Jacqueline Ruiz, and I'm the CEO of JJR Marketing. It's a public relations marketing agency that has been around for almost 20 years. I also established Fig Factor Media, which is an international publishing company. We've published over 500 books for authors in 34 countries, and founder of the Fig Factor Foundation, a nonprofit organization that serves young Latinas ages 12 to 25. And recently we received a grant from the Obama Foundation to continue to make an impact with girls here in the Chicagoland area. I'm an author of 38 books and also one of the few Latina sports airplane pilots in the United States.
Lovely.
Oh, my turning point, I forgot. The turning point for me was becoming international. You know, the publishing company allowed me to go to places and spaces that I've never been before. So utilizing, you know, processes and systems and technology to cross frontiers from Europe to the Middle East, Asia, Central, South America. It's been a fascinating journey traveling the world to speak, to present my books, and also to do business and to elevate stories around the world.
Hello, everyone. I am Ashley Nicole Fox. My name is actually spelled F-O-X, not with the 2 X's that you see here, but you can still find me nonetheless with Ashley Nicole Fox. I am an etiquette coach as well as an entrepreneur who actually rents china. Yep, you heard it, vintage china at that. So you will see, like in our conversation, how it kind of correlates with the etiquette and why I started doing it nonetheless. Okay? And I'm excited for you all to be here. Thank you for coming. Oh, yes. Absolutely. My turning point was the moment that I bought the vintage rental business. It showed me, well, prior to that, I was doing event planning, and it was actually mind-blowing how the opportunity came about. I was scared, yes. Was I uncertain? Absolutely. I've never purchased a business before, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to figure it out along the way. And sure enough, I did. It took me some months. It was not easy, but I learned what I needed to learn. I found the resources that I needed, and I got the support that I needed, and it worked out. So that would be my turning point.
Thank you all. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you all. Thank you for sharing all those pivotal moments in your life. And it's fascinating to hear how those challenges have shaped you as who you are as a leader here. So with that being said, if we turn our attention to students here who is also working on developing their own career path, right? I want to ask one question, more like in a broader way. The question is, what is a unique skill or mindset that you believe women are positioned to bring into the future of business? Unique skill and mindset.
I think, the ability to multitask, the ability to integrate things, because people talk about balance. Well, you know what? Balance doesn't exist in the real world. I mean, when I'm flying a plane, I can't be the best mom in that moment, right? But I can integrate my roles. And I think that ability to see things from a different perspective, and I think that combined with our resilience, with our grit, makes us perfectly poised to be the most amazing entrepreneurs. And of course, if we have the support of our husbands and family members, it makes it even more powerful.
I think we also, we lead with emotional intelligence, right? And I think that allows us to foster inclusive teams. It helps us to build trust. And I agree with her. Sometimes work-life balance really doesn't exist, as she mentioned, because we're so focused on splitting the time. And we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about that later, where it's not just dividing time, and that means work-life balance. It means you do what you do professionally, but then somehow you integrate that and you're able to give back and make that positive impact.
Oh, well, I didn't know if I needed to add to that because you ladies did very well. But what I would add to that would be flexibility. Oh, yeah. I think being flexible, being able to adjust to whatever happens, because things will happen in entrepreneurship, and just being able to bounce back from that resilience, like you mentioned, it will take you to places that you need to be.
Thank you, right? They are talking about integration, they are talking about work-life balance, right? And also talk about flexibility. And one point that I think Jacqueline mentioned is about the support.
Yeah.
So that naturally goes to our next question. How can we support other women without advertently competing against them in business?
I'm excited about this question because I have a story for you. I love stories, right? They just make it more personal. So I think we need to start with the mindset that it's collaboration and not competition. And I shared this story with Diana next door. We're hosting, the Hispanic Business Network is a nonprofit organization that focuses on career development, cultural awareness, community involvement, and commerce. How appropriate, International Business Conference, right? And we're about to plan our women's event. We have a speaker. I have a speaker in mind. However, I had to reach out to a colleague today who is completely unrelated to our organization and ask her to make that introduction because she knows this woman very well. Oddly enough, she needs me to make the introduction to someone that we know really well. And it's just a perfect match in heaven, right? It's not someone I talk to all the time, but it was a relationship that was built on trust. And so that's why I was comfortable to reach out to her. It's about collaborating because we both run organizations, and it's not about competing, right? Because once you share someone with someone and they look good, then you open the door for others, right? There's a place for all of us at the table, and it's not the competition.
Well, I will go behind that and just stress that for me, I don't feel like in business there is competition because there's so many different variables and reasons why everyone is different, why they provide different values or different pieces of information that's necessary that does not require you to be in competition with them. If you go into the mindset of just being who you are, being your authentic self, doing the skills that you know how to do most effectively, then I think that there's no such thing as a competition because you're in your own lane. So that's my intake of that.
You know, I think for me, creating support systems has been important, and sometimes creating support systems can come from different strategies. For example, when I entered the world of aviation and I started getting my pilot's license back in 2015, I looked around, I'm like, where are the pilotinas, you know? And I created my own ocean, right? Because it took me 9 months to find 22 fellow Latina pilots, aeronautical engineers, or traffic controllers, and to basically gather a book to share stories. And lo and behold, now I have the largest collection of Latina stories in the world, 116 in 5 volumes, with completed volume 6, which will come out in September, and a waiting list for volume 7. And not only that, but 2 permanent exhibits dedicated for Latinas in aviation in the first time in history in over 100 years. And you will be blown away by the community that we've created, because that was the common, denominator, the aviation, right? But I've also created other communities with adversity being the main common denominator, or leadership. So it's like, if you do not have a support system that you see now, just think about the 3 common denominators that you have. Are you a male, a female? Are you in this industry? And how old are you, for example? Right? Those could be 3 identifiers. Well, gather people that are around your age. That could be one group that you form, a support system. Gather people that are in the same industry. Maybe, 3 to 5 people that want to be entrepreneurs and create a mastermind. Or look at, an industry. Look at any other aspect that identifies what your dreams and desires are, and build community based on that. And there's so many ways that you can now feel supported and feel like, hey, you know, we're going in the same direction. We can make this happen together.
Wonderful. Right. It's about talking about, all women, we are not competing with each other. We are collaborating with each other. We can thrive together. And we can thrive not just within what we have. We can go beyond, create our own support, groups. Right. So that's really wonderful to hear that. And I love Ashley's point regarding the reason that we can do that is every individual, every woman is unique. We can add value in different ways. We are not competing, we are collaborating. So thank you. And next question, going back to the theme of our conference, right? International Business Conference. So in global business environments, cultural expectations about leadership can be different. Have you ever had to adapt your leadership or communication style across cultures? And what did you learn?
I have often. As an etiquette coach, I encounter different students, particularly international students, where I have to explain to them the etiquette here in the US versus where they're from. Different backgrounds, require different etiquette. For instance, something that's polite in our country may be very rude and disrespectful in others. So we have to be mindful. And so what I teach, I make sure that it's clear. Clarity is important. There may be a language barrier. I make sure that they understand the difference too. The difference in our backgrounds or our culture versus theirs. So those would be, pretty much what I encounter on a regular with my international students.
I would like to add that if you do things with respect and clarity, like she said, and integrity, that goes across all cultures, right? So if we're respectful with each other, if we're able to listen, and we do it with integrity, cross-cultural, and communication is so critical, right? Sometimes we have to just listen and then proceed to communicate.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to work with people, from around the world, and I would say yes and no. My core values as a leader, as an individual, they don't change because I'm in a different country. I maintain my value of gratitude, transparency, saying what I do and doing what I say. Here and anywhere in the world that I've been, I'm still the same person. I always think transparency is super important. I always think of if I lived in a glass house, would I do the same things that I do when nobody's watching than when I'm being watched? And that to me is a litmus test of your honesty and your integrity, transparency. But then also, I had a situation where the first time that I was invited to speak in Europe and doing a tour, through Sweden, Paris, and Belgium. And we had an agreement with the organization that brought me to Europe, right? And she says, I'm going to pay all your expenses. You're going to be featured in this magazine. I'm going to cover your hotel, everything else. And I remember, she's like, but why don't you pay? And then I'll pay you back. When you're here, I'll pay you back. I'm like, said, sure. So I paid for my hotel. I paid for my, flight. And on the way back to Paris, we were in the train, and she says to me, she's like, I've decided that I've given you a lot of exposure during this trip, and I can't pay you. I looked at her, and of course, I was very upset, and I said, you know what? That is not the way that I do business. I do what I say, and I say what I do. And I brought my mom, I brought a reporter from the United States, I brought a makeup artist on the premise that all my expenses were gonna be taken care of. And now, last minute, on the way back to the United States, you're telling me that you all of a sudden decided not to. Anyway, this turned out to be a huge lesson for her. She's like, I can't believe that you're so much younger than I am, and you're teaching me lessons about leadership and transparency. I'm like, you know what? If your mommy and daddy didn't teach you that your word is important, I mean, you're 50-something. I mean, I can't teach you that. But I said, you do what you do. You do what you say, and you say what you do in business. Here and anywhere in the world, you honor your word. And that, to me, has been one of the biggest lessons of standing on your ground and never, with unwavering, relentless vision and alignment of who you are, regardless of where you come from. And she ended up not paying me part of that trip. She paid me a little bit of it, and then I said, you know what? But that was the last time ever that I did business with her. And she missed out.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the story, and thank you for all the comments you make. So regarding this kind of international, collaboration, competition, and also about the cultural part, I think one common theme comes up is about, yes, in different countries, there are different cultures. We should be aware of that. We should respect that, like different etiquette, right? Different leadership styles, communication styles. That's real. On the other hand, there's other things real as well. That's what Jacqueline mentioned. It's about the nature of human being. No matter you are in the States, you are in Russia, you are in Italy, we are all human beings, right? There are standards applied to anyone all over the world. And thank you for sticking to your principle and help people in other countries understand the basic rule or principle that everyone should insist. So thank you. Yeah. With that being said, the next question is about the rule standards. So the question is, which workplace standard would you change in order to better support the upcoming generation of female leaders? Which workplace standard?
I think, Ashley, didn't you say flexibility earlier? Flexibility is huge. Being a public accountant, we're known for working really long hours, and I don't think that needs to be the norm. I completely disagree with that, right? So that's one of the things. I think that it would create a much more happier workforce if we didn't stick to that long work hours being the norm and just being flexible.
That's really good. And actually, what you do for people with your network is provide personal development, right? And soft skills. And I think that should be a norm for anybody entering the workplace, or if you've been stagnant in the workplace for years, you should always keep sharpening your saw. Always learn something new, whether it be soft skills or actual skills that can help you, like even etiquette. I think that constantly learning and upping your game, when it comes to what are the new technologies, what is happening with AI, how can I keep my values in correlation to AI, how can I learn something about myself? Can I take a personality test? Can I get to know more of me or my ecosystem? What personality traits do my, co-workers have that I can adapt and communicate better? Like, there's always a room for improvement, like almost having like a learning, checklist, every month. I think that would be amazing in the workplace. I think would be much more exciting, and you can cross-reference knowledge, and, we would all grow together.
Wonderful, right? Flexibility, career development opportunities, and also resources that can support women employees, women leaders. These are all I assume some organizations are using it, but more organizations need to incorporate it, right, to develop our future women leaders. Okay, the last question. If you could give one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self about navigating the workplace as a woman, what would it be?
I'm laughing because you see me sitting here, right? And I'm willing and able and was so excited about presenting and sharing my story. But as a 20-year-old, I was really shy. Yes, I was shy. So I would say to my 20-year-old self, do not be afraid to advocate for yourself and to share your voice, right? Like I mentioned before, there's space for all of us at the table.
And since I'm just passing that 20-year-old threshold, I would like to say that I would tell myself to keep going. And I want to tell you all as students as well to keep going. I know that it may seem far-fetched if you dream really high and really big, but you'll be surprised at what can come out of it as long as you are executing that goal, executing toward that goal. Don't just set a goal and then be like, oh, okay, it's just going to magically appear. No, you have to work toward it. You have to keep going. You may not see the progress immediately, but every little day, every second, there will be change. And with that change will be the end result, which is whatever that goal is, and then create something even bigger. Because I'm pretty sure that when you go out of college, you don't think as big as you can. Think bigger. Think larger, because it is achievable. I guarantee you that. I mean, look at me, I'm doing what I want to do. And who would have thought, but this is how things go. This is how they happen. So.
For me, I will say 4 words that I've told every single one of my adopted, almost 300 daughters from my nonprofit, my foundation, which is, I believe in you. I can tell that to myself, and I had cancer when I was 21, pre-cancer by my liver when I was 23. I went through, and even so confident on the outside, I was so afraid of dying on the inside. So I would just say, I believe in you. And if I could just hear those words over and over again, I think I would be okay.
Here comes Rocky to save the day.
Thank you. These are our wonderful women leaders. These are our role models. It's about advocating yourself. It's about keep going. It's about believing in yourself. Thank you. These are all messages you should put on your daily log, your notebook, or whatever you can see it every moment. So thank you. Thank you so much for touching stories, for the insightful, comments you made. Great. Thank you. With that being said, now we are going to our next step. That's can I call it the most exciting part? Our Q&A session. Again, before we start, I need to remind you the ground rule. I want to hear as many questions as possible, so please use 1 or 2 sentences to summarize your question. Now the floor is open, and
make sure you
our
talk into the
students will
microphone.
give you the microphone. So wait for that so everyone can hear you. Thank you.
Hello, I gotta say your presentation was amazing, but I got a small question. How do you get out of that mentality of the fear of failure? How do you, when you started on your business process, what was your mentality, what was your process of thought to get out of the comfort zone?
So the question is about how do you step out your comfort zone and start your business?
Was it toward one person or just?
Do you want any of us to answer, or you're looking? Okay.
Whoever wants to
All of us are-
answer.
You want to start?
I saw it as a challenge, and I have one of the things I repeat to myself all the time is you need to face your fears, right? So if you put your heart and soul to something and you're passionate enough, your passion's going to drive you. I quit my job. I have a mortgage to pay. I'm not married, so I'm single. My parents can't even take care of me. I'm 58 years old. I quit my job, not having another one. But you know what? They can't take my knowledge. Everyone needs accounting. And I've spent probably 20 years developing a network, that support system. Those colleagues of mine that are in a different industry, Mr. Vlad over there, his friends, those are people that are my support system. They're my network. So I can reach out to them and say, hey, you need some accounting work? I've got some free time. Do you need tax prep? And that's, literally that is how it happened, right? It happened that I quit, and I was like, oh, well, everybody needs what I have, right? And they can't take my knowledge away. I just need a computer. There you go.
Okay. So what I would say is you will never be 100% comfortable. Never. I'm the most confident person that I know. And I'm never 100% confident. So with me knowing that things are not going to be comfortable when I try new things, it's pretty much pushing myself out there. You have to propel yourself toward that success because no one's going to be able to do that for you. Like, you have to find it in yourself. Whatever speech you have to tell yourself, whatever makes you motivated, whether you're listening to podcasts or talking to friends or mentors or just finding the resources. I wouldn't tell you to read a lot of information. Like, don't consume so much information that you just don't end up even using. What I would say is go out and do the thing. So if you want to start a business, go out and put yourself in rooms that people that are working whatever business it is doing. If they're having like networking events, go out there, talk to the people, see if it's even something that you even want to take part in, because you may not be interested in it at all. As you all may know, in college, sometimes we change our majors. You know, it's not a good fit. So go out, you know, talk to these people in whatever business that you're going into, see if it's something that still is suitable for you, and then take the proper steps to go forward. But you have to execute it. The reason why you may be timid about it is because you're not putting yourself in the position. You're not taking the risks. You have to have the courage. And that's point blank period. You have to have the courage in order to start a business. And once you get those balls to do it, have fun. Because you have to have a certain grit to yourself in order to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As a Latino, I gotta say muchas gracias.
Gracias.
So you hear for that question is first, let's face reality. We will never feel comfortable. Always know that. Second, be prepared for that. Build up your support system. Accumulate your knowledge and skills so that it will make you relatively comfortable when you dive in the ocean. Okay, thank you.
Halito and Halito ladies. As for those of you who do not know what that means, in my Choctaw Native American language, it means hello. I'm Reginald Sawyer, Mississippi Choctaw, Eastern Band Cherokee, Warpaint Clan, and I am a piano performance and music education major here at NEIU, on hiatus at the moment. But the burning question I've been meaning to ask you three is that, and being that all three of you are women and also women of color, I know you had to go through many obstacles, and one of them obstacles is dealing with discrimination and sexual harassment and all that ignorant foolishness that not only you but other women and people in general have to deal with. maybe not on a daily basis, but in some efforts. My question to you is, what discrimination situations or sexual harassment discrimination did you experience? How did you learn to rise above it and overcome it, and become the powerful, beautiful women, intelligent women that you are? And if you're wondering why I'm wearing my flower in memory of my late mother, Elizabeth Sawyer, who left us at the age of 91, and she was phenomenal, and she played many roles.
Thank you. So what I hear is the question, have you ever experienced any discrimination, and how did you handle it?
I haven't technically handled like discrimination, but I will tell you this. Being the only Black-owned vintage rental business, people expect me to be of a different color. So when they see me show up and they're, renting from me, they're expecting maybe like an older age white lady, like that's the reality of it. And they see me, this youthful Black lady, they question. They're like, "Are you Ashley? Like, is this the person that I've been communicating with?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am the owner. It's a surprise." So, I mean, it's not like negative, but they're just wondering, like, or they're just not expecting it. So, the way that I handle it is I just handle it with a smile, because it doesn't change who I am. I'm still a 5-star business. So, it's kind of like, yeah, this is me. So just stay positive, put it that way.
I think, obviously, in public accounting, that's a male-dominated industry. Let's just be truthful, right? And I'm a woman of color, and I have a really big mouth. So I have 3 strikes against myself. I busted my butt and did good work. I was respectful to my deadlines, and that's how I shut them up. And that's just being very real. And I tried to be as PC as I could.
I mean, I've been in a lot of male-dominated worlds, because I feel like I have so many worlds, from authorship to piloting to, being in boardrooms and, part of, different organizations as an advisory board member and so on and so forth. But it's interesting because I think aviation gave me the perspective of this, and the airplane doesn't know how you look like. The airplane knows precision. And for me, I think a lot of times I've kind of imposed self-limiting beliefs. Oh, I'm a Latina, I'm short, I'm this. I've never experienced any discrimination, like blatant discrimination. I think a lot of times when I felt, when I have felt that I couldn't do it or I was less than, is when I impose those limitations on myself. And so the way that I counter that is saying, you know what, lead with excellence. The airplane, has a checklist, and if you do that effectively and efficiently, if you lead, a board, and this is how you do it, so it's like leading with excellence. And by the way, I'm a pilotina, but it's, so for me, that has been a great, the one experience that I did have, I don't know if it was discrimination, it was more like my personality, was a mentor. We walked into a meeting. I had just starting my marketing PR agency. He was a very well-known and recognized business reporter. So he took me under his wing. We go to this meeting. I invite him to my client meeting. And, I wanted to learn from him, how he navigated. And we get out of the meeting, and he says, Jackie, I'm going to ask you to tone it down. You said the word amazing during that meeting 23 times. First of all, I was like, I did? I mean, when you have a personality like that, I mean, how was I supposed to know that I said it 23 times? So I go to my car and I was like baffled, right? I'm like, I don't remember saying the word amazing 23 times. So he had built probably about $1 million public relations business, right? So I was like, I gotta listen to this guy. He's done something 7 figures, that's where I wanna get to. But then I remember that I had another mentor who had built a $35 million a year business. His name is Brian Marshall. And I said, I'm gonna call this guy. He's also a white male. And so I'm gonna call him and see what he says. So I called him up and I said, hey, Brian, my mentor, Jim told me to tone it down. He paused for a second because I'm like, if I need to tone it down, then my Latina approach is gonna be, it's gonna have a detrimental effect. And he paused and he says, absolutely not. I want you to tune it up to the 10th power because your ability to land, your ability to make things happen like you do, combined with that passion and saying the word amazing 23 times during a meeting, it's gonna make you a millionaire. And you know what? I listened to Brian, and it did.
Such an inspiring story. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, we have last 2 minutes. I give the last question to one of the students.
These are all great questions, by the way. You're keeping us on our toes.
Okay, one last question I have is, how long did it take for you to open a business? Because money is tight, and did you go to social networking, or did you save up the money over the years? Like, I want to know because I want to open a business. And
Can you please raise your voice a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. How long did it take you to open a business in regarding to budgeting? Because I'm 22 and I plan on opening a business myself, a nonprofit one. So I want to know, how long did it take for you guys to actually open one?
So the nonprofit I lead is 14 years old. And because it's 100% volunteer based, has no staff, takes a little longer, right? Because we're not receiving any kind of government grant. You kind of really need to establish who the support system is, who the network is. But it all depends on what your mission is going to be, right? Because if it's youth related, you could do it in a lot shorter. But I was not doing it full time either, right? I was doing this as a part-time with volunteers. And where I was going with this is that it really depends. If you're going to do it full-time, there are so many resources, right? So many resources. Your college is a huge resource, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to other organizations, larger organizations, because they're happy to share that information. When you talk about networking, there's that phrase that everyone says that your network kind of determines your net worth. It is the truth, right? Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I also want to advise you that you're going to get invited to a lot of things. There's a lot of networking events, and I'm sure my colleagues here will agree that every room is not your room, and it's okay. So be intentional about where you do go, right? Even in my current state, right? Yes, I'm my own boss now, and I have an accounting firm, but every room is not going to be my room. I get invited all the time. Oh, there's all these NCAA. Well, I hate basketball, so why would I go to any of that? But there could be potential clients there, but not really. They're not going there to seek an accountant. They're going there to watch the games and, probably eat and drink. So that's not going to be my room. Does that help? Okay.
Well, can I say, if you're in those rooms, you make sure they see you, okay? If you walk in that room, well, that's where the etiquette comes from, right? Own the room. Don't go if you're not going to own the room. Right. You're right. So networking is one of those things where you want to actually meet people. Don't just stand in a corner and eat on your snacks and drink on your wine and be cute and then go home. Well, that doesn't serve the purpose now, does it? It does not. So you have to have the courage to get out there and actually have a plan before you get there. Like, who do you want to talk to? What people do you want to meet? What will they do for you? Or what do you want them to do for you? Because there's no point of networking otherwise. Stay at home. Save your money. Save your energy. But I just wanted to ask you, what non-for-profit are you trying to do? So maybe I can kind of gauge whether you even need money to start or not.
So, have you heard of LIHEAP CETA?
No, explain it to me.
CETA?
Yeah, CETA.
Yeah.
Yeah, LIHEAP. So it's
It's a program that helps manage utility expenses, and they offer
Cool.
grants to provide assistance when you're in that crunch or experiencing some sort of crisis.
so I got in contact with a few sites, and they said that I can open my own, but I need to have volunteers, like you said. I need to like be always active there, and I they tell me that I need to buy like rental a building, like a floor, just to have space for the clients and stuff. But you can also do it from at home by phone calls. So I'm really thinking about that because I don't have the budget to buy, a floor.
Well, if you don't have the budget, then do what you have to do. Go to your library and have these meetings.
Yeah.
They have meeting rooms. You can utilize your school.
Yeah, resources.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about where you're doing it at. You have to do it. That's the first thing you have to worry about. Okay? And then all the other stuff will come. So you don't need any money. You need to talk to whomever at these different locations and different free spaces and start there. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And this student's question leading to our final question to our panelists. What is one concrete action a student in this room can take in the next 30 days that would move them closer to a career in business? You have 45 to 60 seconds to answer that question. Yeah, one recommendation, one action you want them to take for the next 30 days.
Read the book Blink. It'll blink. It'll change your perspective of business.
Take an etiquette class with me. No, I'm just saying social etiquette is important.
Yes.
Dining etiquette is important because where are we meeting with these CEOs? At a table. Okay, so you need to know how to eat properly. You need to know how to conversate well. You need to know how to move around this table here first, and then you'll be able to move around boardrooms, and they will open the doors for you. Trust me, there's many perks with etiquette. Even if.
How many of you have already attended a networking event in something that you're passionate about? I like that. And is networking awkward for you? Do you feel comfortable? You're good? You're comfortable? Yeah. Because it takes some time, and I would challenge you to do that, right? Take a step, whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to open up that nonprofit, I would suggest you attend an event put on by a nonprofit organization, even in that field. And there's lots of them. Metropolitan Family Services, Erie Neighborhood House, there's a few of them, and I'm happy to make that introduction because that's what it's about today, right? It's about helping you make that connection, sharing some knowledge with you that you wouldn't know about, and understand that your college is a huge resource. I'm not wearing that color blue for nothing.
And I want to add one more thing, which can be so easy for you. After this panel, go to LinkedIn and add all the panelists to your network. That's the first step for networking.
That's your
Okay?
support system.
That's right.
Okay. So on behalf of the College of Business and Technology at Northeastern Illinois University, I want to sincerely thank you all our panelists for sharing not only their wisdom, but also the honesty in their heart. Truly, thank you. And I also want to thank you, our students, our faculty, our guests here, for participating and asking all those great questions. Thank you. So I hope this conversation can continue, and you will have time to connect with our panelists right after it. So thank you all. Please join me in giving our panelists a final round of applause. Thank you all. Thank you for being at the panel.
All right.
Standing, sitting?
Either one. Either one. Thank you so much to our panelists. We're really grateful for sharing your insights, your journey, your expertise, and it really means a lot. And as a person who's in accounting, it is a space that is mostly male, white dominated, I can't say I understand. I'm not a woman. I can't say I understand what you go through, but I see you. And thank you for sharing today. Another round of applause. All right. On behalf of the IBC Planning Committee, I would like to present the certificates of appreciation to our panelists. Ashley